Although for a human, how do you play a tank that's not really that good? Well, the first thing, ideally, is to be a good player. Now, here's the thing. The Type 59, it's not that horrible. I mean, I somehow managed to put it number 1 NA. I don't know how, but it's not... I mean, if I can do it, everyone can. But essentially, how do you play a tank that's not that good? Well, first of all, just be a better player. Because the player makes the bigger difference than the tank, and that's a very important thing to remember. There is no point in buying the next OP tank, which the Type 59 certainly isn't, because it has 2000 DPM, 0.35 accuracy, 181 standard penetration, solid mobility, solid armor, especially on a turret. But there's no point in buying the next OP tank, because you make the bigger difference. It's you. It's not the tank, it's you that makes the biggest difference. The difference between a 45% player and a 60% player, or a 45% player and a 50% player even, isn't the tanks that they're playing. It's the player that they are what is making the difference. So that is something I want you to, if you're not aware of that already, which I really hope you are, that the tank doesn't make the bigger difference. Now, obviously, there are tanks that are better, there are tanks that are worse, which is why the other tank I put on number 1 NA, the Scorpion G, I did 3,200 average damage, and in the Type 59, I did 2,500. So, obviously, there is a massive difference between the vehicles and their performance. But still, if you're a good player in a bad tank, you will still be better than a bad player in a good tank. In most cases. Now, Way to Bankruptcy here has sent me this replay via Discord. So if you want to send me your replay, put it on my Discord server. And obviously the easiest way to find an easy fight is just play it against a stock tier 7 if you're in a tier 8. But if you have a bad tier 8, just fight a stock tier 7 basically. And that's another thing that goes down to map awareness. Just fight the worst people. If you're in a bad tank, you have to pay attention even more to that. Even more. Look at who's around you. Look at what's going on. Look at what you can fight. I mean, you're in a Type 59. You can fight that T-71. He's got no chance. Even though the type is not that great. It's very easy. I mean, especially also if you're playing against bots. But to be fair, if you're playing against bots, they're probably harder to play against than a lot of 40%ers. So don't get too funny there, because the bots are still very challenging. I mean, I didn't play against bots when I put it on number 1, but it was new players, so it doesn't really count. But why am I talking about this? It doesn't matter. Anyway, well, maybe the reason I'm talking about it is if a dumb clown like me can put the Type 59 on number 1 for an entire server, that about tells you the skill of the NA. Never mind. That's not the point. The point is, even if it's a bad tank and you know what you're doing, you can play really well with it and you can put it all the way on top. 4 kills, 3.8k damage. Was it challenging? Not that much. But good positioning, good awareness, all of those things lead together to an ace, which is very nice. So, not really the way to bankruptcy, more like the way to ace. Just find yourself a bad team and play them. Now this time, we have the... What is this thing called? Fixer? Yeah. So, it's basically just a super Pershing. It's a super Pershing. It's a tiny bit better. Now, 196 penetration is not really that good. 0.34 actually, not really amazing. Got 9 degrees under pressure though. Got solid-ish turret armor. The mobility is not really amazing. It's basically a heavy tank, for the most part. So, medium tank in name only. Just like the super Pershing. There's nothing medium about this thing whatsoever, for the most part, except the gun. And it's really not that amazing penetration. I mean, it's not 180, which, like, for example, the Type has, but it's okay. Now, again, is this a bad vehicle? Well, some might say yes. Because it's definitely not on a, let's say, a level of a Chimera or a Centurion 5-1. Or even a Defender Mark 1. Which is true for quite a lot of tier 8 mediums. Because they were designed for a time when premium ammo still did the same damage as standard ammo. But now premium ammo does less damage. And all the mediums at tier 8 kept their abysmal penetrations at 180 or whatever. And that's the big problem with tier 8 mediums. They essentially got hard nerfed by that because they were built. You use the premium ammo if you fight a heavy because it's got the same damage. Now, it's a hard nerf to them because their penetration sucks and they gotta use premium ammo, so the DPM goes out the window. Oh, great. Now, ideally, like I've already hinted at earlier, if you're in a worse tank, just find yourself the worst enemy. And this 53 TP is doing really well here at not doing anything useful, and so is the VK. Like, look at him, he's just standing behind the 53 TP, not really getting anything done because he can't attack the Fixer here, and he's just sitting there. And now, finally, once the 53 is dead, the VK decides to attack. Why? Like, if he's just gonna straight belt it forward, push as fast as you can, get to the side of the 53 TP and the Fixer, and shoot that fucker in the side. But no, he decides to wait until the 53 TP is dead, and then attack in an inferior vehicle. Lovely. But however, speaking of inferior, it's a 2v5. Well, 2v4 now. So that's not really great. But the enemies have a couple of one-shots, and there is a Jagdtiger on this team that has 3,500 DPM. So if they choose to somewhat attack the Jagdtiger, and the Jagdtiger plays it better than rushing YOLOing into a smasher, let's not talk about that. That's a bad idea. Just saying, like, that's a bad idea. Now, obviously, K-Flowers here is going to help him out by taking care of the smasher, but the Jagdtiger is a dummy in this case, because it's a Jagdtiger. You have 3.5k DPM. You don't have to fight anyone. You just have to let them come to you and then mince them. So, yeah. Now, the IS-5 is ready to get minced, essentially. But the Jagdtiger is also getting minced. So, that's a 1v3. So, dummy! Like I say every time, if you're in a disadvantage situation like this, don't push. Play the position. Like, they have to get to you. Like, they have to get across all this empty space here to get to you. Why would you push them and give them the advantage of being in the empty space? Like, now look at the IS-5. He has to just push through this empty space. And he's basically out in the open. And that's the advantage that you have if you stay put and you play a position that is good. Now, the IS-5 is horrible, obviously. And, well, the Fixer it's okay. It's not a really bad tank. But the reason I'm taking this video in here, taking this replay into this video, is simply because it's not that great of a tank. And you can see the Jagdtiger throwing away, which would be a great tank for the situation, and then just throw it away for nothing. For absolutely nothing, because he just runs forward, gets into the middle of 5 tanks, gets his ass handed to him. And now, this is a really bad situation. Now, the IS-5 should have died quite a while ago, but unfortunately, that is not possible. But he screws it up and gives K-Flowers another chance. And now, it is a 1v1, and the Yak Panther bounces off the Fixer. What is he doing? The Fixer has cupolas on top of the vehicle that he can pen very easily. All he has to do is get a bit of distance, but he doesn't. And he throws it away massively. So the VK threw by not pushing at the same time as the 53 TP. The Jagdtiger threw by just pushing into the middle of 5 tanks. And the IS-5 and the Yak Panther threw because they didn't play together. Because this is a picture-perfect example of how to make use of bad players by just letting them throw.